Up next on Sustainability Dialogue, we have Mr. Barun Aggarwal, CEO Breathe Easy Labs. And he's right here with us and he's going to share few of his points and add on some brilliant, I think, takeaway for all of us. So let's get started with that. But with him, we also have Dr. Batra joining in, Chairman, Editor-in-Chief, BW Business World and Exchange for Media Group. So let's welcome them both
Thank
and
you.
hear to this
You've been at it
conversation.
since the morning, 9:48 a.m. So thank you for doing this for us.
Thank
Barun,
you.
welcome. You heard Siddharth. Possibly, you would echo some of his sentiment. Funnily enough, your father-in-law, for the first time 24 years back, introduced me. I didn't know what is particulate matter. So he explained to me what is particulate matter and why is it important. And, since then, I've had many conversations. I remember about 10 years back or 7, 8 years back, I came in and, you sat me down and you explained to me how the quality of air is really important and why it has gone down and what are the solutions even. Today, our topic is better air quality leading to a better GDP. So give us your opening comments and then we will have a conversation.
Well, a very good evening, everyone, and a very good evening to you, Anurag. Thank you for having me on this wonderful show of yours. I had a chance to listen in to the last part of what Siddharth mentioned. I come in with a slightly different angle to this whole issue. As you said, my father-in-law has been talking about air quality for the last 30 years. I've been doing this for the last 8 years now. Clean air is a basic right. But over the years, since we've been talking or he's been talking, unfortunately, things have only kept getting worse. We've had discussions, meetings, task forces. The Supreme Court has had to step in on multiple counts. But in the last 30 years, the only thing that has actually worked to clear the air is this lockdown. And I smiled and I cried in the last 2 months. There was one particular ironical joke that came. And of course, I smiled at the joke, but I even cried internally, which said that the world economy is set to shrink because we are only buying necessities. And the fact is that we are buying things that we don't need with the money that we don't have. And then we work the rest of our lives to pay off the loans that we don't. So this is a great time. My son, who is about 10 years old, we go walk downstairs in our society. And we only started doing this after the lockdown because we weren't allowed to go out to any park or anywhere else. And for the first time, he would look up in the sky and he would say, the skies are looking like Kasauli or some other hill station or like some other foreign destination that we've been to where he would see blue skies. And for the first time, he said, this is the first time I'm seeing skies in Delhi as blue like some of those other destinations. So what changed? What changed during this lockdown that actually gave us blue skies? And the answer is that for the first time, we've had to hit the reset button where we only were allowed or could buy necessities. And here's an opportunity for us to hit the great reset button. We talk a lot about the triple bottom line, people, planet, and profit. But the reality is unfortunately in stark contrast to that because of human greed. We are unfortunately programmed to think about the single bottom line approach of profit alone. But I think that needs to change. In a sense, we need to manage climate-related crisis. We need to strengthen our social fabric and inspire economic activity that actually creates value for humankind. If we are to create a world that is sustainable and well-equipped, and if we want to combat crises like the ones that we have right now, we have to do these things. We have to realize basic truism. In a world of finite resources, we don't have a world where we can go on forever growth. A lot of times, I love to reference a few books. One of them, which I really love, is The Third Curve, End of Growth by Mansoor Khan. And it says, you cannot go after unlimited growth because at the end of the day, we are all going after finite resources. There's another brilliant book called How Much Should a Person Consume? Thinking Through the Environment by Ramachandra Guha. It's a very heavy book, but it really gets one to think in terms of consumption. Do I really need to consume so much? And what is it that this consumption is going to do to the environment? So we all, whether it's us as individuals, whether it's companies that we run, or leadership that we provide, or the governments that have to take necessary actions, we all need to take ownership of our future, and each one of us can do various things. We can consume only what is necessary. We need to define our purpose. We need to empower our stakeholders. And finally, we need to collaborate and partner. The only way, the terrible condition that we've seen during this lockdown, the negative side of our society, whether it was the crazy sights of human beings in hospitals or our labor force being stranded with little food to eat and having to walk thousands of kilometers, the issues of the UN SDG that were discussed earlier in the morning also, like global warming, social inequality, poverty, all are actually all interconnected to clean air. And the more these come to the forefront and we deal with these issues, the more we will address it. And it is up to us to take ownership of such issues, because at the end of the day, it's all connected. And that is the only way, if we actually address all of these, will we see blue skies. So air quality, I know the focus is air quality and GDP, but at the end of the day, it's all connected. And if we aren't able to connect the dots and realize that we need to do something on all of these issues for a planet, because we have one single home, unless and until Elon Musk is able to colonize Mars, which might be a few years away, we have one single planet. And if we don't treat this one home as one home, and we all consider ourselves as individuals, we are not going to get there and see real blue skies.
Fantastic, Barun. In fact, I love to read those books. I haven't had any time. I thought when the lockdown has come, I'll read books, watch movies, but I've been very busy in a good way. I'm not complaining. You know, I'll tell you, I started doing yoga 10, 12 years back, and I spent 10 minutes of yoga. But I do this Jal Neti every morning. It's part of my life now. It seemed very difficult. The only reason I do it, my breath is very different. I do 5, 10 minutes of basic breathing. So they say air is life, and they say pran is basically vayu. So in that context, a lot of our diseases, which are non-communicable diseases, are primarily because the lack of sleep is there. That is also lack of oxygen going in, or it is the quality of what we are inhaling because of vehicular traffic, industrial emissions, so on and so forth. Do you see post-COVID actually policymakers, CEOs caring about these things, or are we going to forget about it?
We can't forget about it. We have to consider this. Like you said, air is prana. And without air, what is there? Nothing, right? I mean, people, once you get into that situation where you're struggling for your breath, once COVID has hit your lungs, you are ready to do whatever it takes for that grasp of breath. Now, air is so critical and so important. And like I mentioned earlier, it is all so interconnected that if we don't take cognizance of all the different issues around us with regards to sustainability, with regards to the environment, with regards to the planet, at the end of the day, it is going to come back and hurt us. We can sit and talk about it all day long, but at the end of the day, now we have to start actioning it. This, like I said, we have to hit the great reset button and realize that it is up to us in our hands. And if each one of us doesn't do that in terms of actual actionable items, which actually has an impact, we are not going to, this is going to continue, and something like this is going to keep coming back, and the frequency is only going to get higher. Our entire health, like you said, prana, it's not just the lungs that get impacted by poor air that we breathe. It's the entire human body that gets impacted, whether it's the brain, the heart, the lungs, the kidneys, the liver, the reproductive system. Every single part of the human body actually gets impacted based on the breath, based on the air, based on the prana that we are breathing in every second. I tell people, I said, you drink 3 to 4 to 5 liters of water in one day, right, Anurag? And we are very careful. Clean air? Are you drinking clean water? Is it RO water? Is it filtered water? But one human being on average breathes 10 to 12,000 liters of air in one day. So if you're breathing 12,000 liters of air, what is the quality of that air that you're breathing, and how does that impact you? How many of us actually think about that? The problem is that I can live for 10 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, even half a day or one day without any water at all. But I cannot live for more than 3 or 4 minutes, and most people even less than that, without taking a breath of air. And that is the biggest problem. And hence we don't realize it, that even that tiny amount of pollution that is going in with every single breath has a cumulative impact on our lungs, and our entire human body gets impacted. So everybody needs to take cognizance to this fact that being interconnected with everything that we do, if we don't focus on the UN SDGs, if we don't focus on our planet, we're all going to get impacted and we're all getting affected by this.
Let's divide this issue into two issues. One is about homes, it's about individual spaces. And one is about public spaces. Tell us, what are the solutions available? Of course, all of us buy air purifiers, we supplement them, we do all that. Tell us how plants can change it. Why need to have organic solutions, if I may use that term. So give us, what are the solutions available for homes beyond air purifiers, and what are the solutions for public spaces beyond air purifiers?
That's a great question. Thanks, Anurag. So I'll break the answer into two parts also, right? So outdoors and indoors. Let's start with the outdoors. There's lots of companies trying to sell technology to fix the outdoors. I call that as band-aids on the problem. We cannot, unfortunately, put a band-aid when you have just gone through a surgery where you had to cut off your entire limb. A band-aid will not work in that situation. And let's put that things into perspective. When you're trying to fix the problem of outdoor air pollution, the volume of air that you're trying to treat is humongous. The air shed of just the city of Delhi is not just above the geography of Delhi, but it is constantly moving. I call the air shed or the pollution shed of Delhi, which starts in Pakistan and ends in Bangladesh, because it's constantly moving. That wind is constantly moving. And you go up, when you take a flight, you can see the depth of that pollution when you're flying. And you can see it is close to anywhere from 300 to 500 meters above the ground is where that thick smog typically stays in the winter months in Delhi. Now, half a kilometer deep, and the size of the entire geography of northern India is the depth and breadth of the problem of air pollution. Now, when people come up with solutions and they say, oh, we've got an air purifier that can filter so many million cubic feet of air per day, when you run the math on that, it is actually less than what we normally put in for one small building. So can you put in technology like air purifiers outdoors to fix the air problem outdoors? The answer is completely no, you cannot. So the real answer is in fixing the problems at source. Source control is the way to go about it. Natural plants, of course, play a very vital role in human survival, in the growth of our species and in the growth of our planet. So the focus from an outdoor perspective should be on natural plants, but more so on source control. We have very strict environmental control laws in the country of India. The challenge over here, and some of these laws are even more stringent than European and American laws. The challenge here is implementation of those laws. Adherence and implementation to those laws in India is unfortunately very poor, and hence you have a huge problem. If we can focus and make those laws more adaptable, more user-friendly, and so that people actually implement the right technologies to ensure that the industries are less polluting and they are within the permissible limits, it will have a huge difference. So many of us saw videos and photographs of the rivers getting clean water after this lockdown, the skies being blue, seeing the mountains of Himalayas in the distance. All of that was because industry shut down and we started seeing things. Can we continue with industry being shut down? No, we can't. At the end of the day, economy is important. Consumption is also necessary. Consumption is important. But what we need to do is do source control of the pollution, ensure that the industry follows the environmental norms that have been set up from a legal perspective, and that implementation of that has to be very strong. So that's from an outdoor perspective. I say source control apportionment and focus on natural plants and ensure that we don't cut down some of the trees that we have in the name of development is something we need to focus on from an outdoor air perspective. Now let's come to indoor air quality. This is a subject which is obviously very dear to my heart. I run one of the leading indoor air quality solution companies in the country. And we work on large facilities to small facilities, homes, offices, schools, malls, embassies. A lot of facilities like this have today gotten aware of the problem of indoor air pollution, and they come to us for solutions. We have a building in Delhi, which is owned by my father-in-law, as you mentioned earlier on, called Paharpur Business Center. It has been certified by the Central Pollution Control Board to be the healthiest building of Delhi. What we have in that building is very, very interesting. We have 7,000 natural plants inside the building, which actually purify the air to a large extent. Yes, we have mechanical filtration in that building as well, and it plays an important role in removing some of that particulate matter and some harmful gases. But the 7,000 natural plants, and we have 3 plants inside that building. We have the areca palm, we have the money plant, and we have the sansevieria. The areca palm is great at giving oxygen during the day. The money plant is great at removing volatile organic compounds. And the sansevieria is actually a bedroom plant which gives oxygen at night. We have these 3 plants in abundance in that building. And the reason for that is A, the VOCs that are produced inside the building get removed by those plants. And B, the air that comes from outside, we are able to extract or remove the carbon dioxide and improve the oxygenation of the air. So when you go into that greenhouse of the building, you feel as if you've come into a forest being in the middle of Delhi. I'm not saying that plants alone can solve the problem of air pollution today. You do need to have a combination solution with mechanical filtration systems, but it is very important to add natural plants to the ecosystem of solutions that you put in, because what God has done for us with plants, we cannot copy that or mimic that with mechanical systems. So adding the plants to whatever systems we put in actually helps do certain things which no mechanical system can do whatsoever. A lot of people nowadays, especially in the time of COVID-19, are talking about all sorts of technologies in terms of trap and kill or ionization or ozonizers or photocatalytic oxidation. UV lights are being proposed left, right, and center within the industry. But I say you got to be very, very careful of some of these technologies. I do not believe in using most of these technologies because they end up having always side effects. They may remove certain pollutants, but they will always give out some other pollutant as a byproduct, which can be very harmful to human health. So you got to be careful before putting in any technology from an indoor air pollution control perspective. One of the big things I tell people is monitor, control, and then manage. So if you are able to monitor your indoor air quality with proper monitoring systems, that will allow you to ensure that you are confident that the solutions that you've put in are actually giving you the desired results. So we put in 24 by 7 monitoring solutions for our customers in their large facilities or homes. And what we do for them, Anurag, is very interesting. We are sitting in our facility. We have a network operations center, and we are tracking the air quality in our clients' facilities in real time. The moment something goes wrong in their particular facility, we pick up the phone, call their admin head, and tell them, this particular room, there's a problem, please go check it out. So now they are guaranteed that
air as a service.
Exactly, air as a service, absolutely. The early criticism that I got, abhi tak to we only had to pay for water and food. Now Barun has come and we have to pay for air as well. Unfortunately, yes, clean air is not free, and one has to now pay for it and it is our own doing, right? This lockdown has shown us that it is our own doing. If the clouds and the skies in Delhi can clear up and become blue, people ask me, are you going to survive as a business? Because the skies in Delhi have cleared up. We've got blue skies. I say it's just a matter of time. Once the lockdown is over and once we get back to our normal economic activity, it's just a matter of a few days when the skies will turn gray again, unfortunately.
Thank you, Barun. I just want to ask you my last question and let you go. And then my senior editorial colleague, Mr. Siddharth Shankar, has a session with the CEO of Volvo in India, Mr. Charles Crump. So just on the other side of mine and Barun Aggarwal's conversation is Siddharth Shankar of BW Auto World in conversation with Charles Crump, the chairman of Volvo in India. So look forward to that conversation because automobiles have many dimensions on sustainability, right from manufacturing plus auto sector adds to the bad quality of air. But with e-vehicles coming in, hopefully that will change. So do stay tuned in for the conversation with Mr. Charles from Volvo, with Mr. Siddharth Shankar of BW Auto World. It's coming right after mine and Barun Aggarwal, the conversation. Barun, we are on 5th June 2020. If I spoke to you on 5th June 2021, where do you think we will be on installed base in public spaces and in homes? Suppose in public spaces we were at 100. I'm not just talking of you as Breathe Easy Labs, but I'm saying overall. If we were at 100, where do you think we will be in 12 months from now in public spaces? And if we were at 100 in homes and individual spaces, you said inside, outside, you said indoor, outdoor, whatever. Give us a sense of where do you see this going in the next 12 months?
I didn't completely get your question. When you say installed base, or are you saying in terms of the air pollution numbers indoors and outdoors?
Whichever way you want to look at it. At the end, I want to look at will the adoption grow, and if it grows, by how much? I mean, that's what I'm looking at.
Okay.
And
okay.
COVID would have contributed to it.
Okay. So from an outdoor perspective, I see that, economic activity will come back. We cannot survive without the economics, and you can see the opening up of many cities in India already, slowly and steadily, even though the numbers are rising dramatically. So within the next 1 year, however bad the virus is, however, whether we've got the vaccine in place or not, we are going to end up opening up the economy, and we're going to get back to a certain sense of normal. And I think that the air pollution levels will be back to where they were before. It's unfortunate, but I see if I have to predict it for June 5th, 2021, I will say that we will be back to 2019 or worse in terms of air pollution. I wish I could say it would be equal to or better than where we are today, but I don't think it will be, because economic activity is what drives air pollution, and we will get there. In terms of adoption and in terms of growth, I can tell you from an indoor perspective, we've already seen a fairly large uptick because of COVID-19 from an air pollution perspective. Viruses are not this, at least COVID-19 is not specifically airborne, but being part of the ISHRE community and the ISHRE committee that has created the guidelines document for COVID-19 for air handling units, it has become very clear that air handling units, air conditioners, can play a part in spreading COVID-19 if you don't do the right thing. And being part of that committee, I think, has given me a lot of visibility into what needs to be done, working with a group of experts around the country. And I think overall, the adoption of HVAC and proper filtration within indoor spaces will go up tremendously over the next 1 year. I would say even I would not be surprised if I saw the adoption of filtration systems go up by more than 100% in the next 1 year, because people are starting to get aware that things like indoor air quality has an impact on human health. And even with regards to virus, if they do the COVID-19 virus, if they do the right things, they can reduce the risks. They can mitigate some of the risks. And because of that, adoption is going to go up tremendously. We've just done during the lockdown a government facility as a pilot. And if that pilot works out well in terms of filtration and in terms of monitoring, they're talking about taking it across the entire government sector for indoor facilities. So 100% may be too small a number also if the kind of adoption that we are seeing already continues and takes off as more and more offices reopen. They start to realize what is it that they need to do to mitigate the risks of COVID-19. Automatically, they will mitigate some of the other risks related to normal air pollution that we see in the winter months of Delhi if they were to adopt the technologies needed to do this right now. So 100% is conservative if things go the way they're going right now.
Thank you, Barun. We take one question. There's a question or a comment / question from Kanchan Roy Chaudhary. Barun, how far do you think BEE's PAT scheme or any other government incentivization scheme will have an impact in reducing air pollution? Or some new policy instrument by way of internal emission trading of CO2, SO2, particulate matter to drive the market to encourage air pollution abatement?
That's a good question, sir. I'm not very familiar with the PAT scheme. However, in terms of a policy instrument, in terms of internal emissions trading is concerned, uh, I think history has shown that emissions trading by itself has, I'm talking about not just the country, India, I'm talking about the planet now. Trading has worked well to transfer the liability from one country to another country. So one country is creating the problem and then is able to trade away the problems by buying the carbon credits, etc., for the problems that they're creating. But as a planet, trading of these, according to me, will not be the right solution. The solution really is from a policy perspective to implement the right technologies from a source apportionment or the source control perspective. So understanding the source apportionment and then controlling the sources of the pollution is what will lead to better results in the long run. That's what my feeling and thinking is.
Thank you so much, Barun. Continue to do the work you do, because it makes a difference to lives and hopefully livelihoods and GDP. We wish you luck in your mission to get all of us better quality of air and hence better quality of life. So thank you, Barun. God bless you. And hopefully we'll engage you more and look forward to the work you do because it makes a difference. Thank you, Barun.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Perhaps